but just like moving the needle a little bit to make a few people a bit richer, that's giving me no sense of purpose at all.
Hi, my name is Rasmus. I'm here today with you, Christoffer Bouet. Thanks a lot for coming and welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So what's consuming most of your energy these times?
Well, we're about to do a fundraising round rather soon, and are in that gap where at one time I'm spending a lot of my time gearing up for that, doing decks, doing data rooms, and preparing the business for a funding round, while taking so much time away from the business. We still need to keep our growth rates running. So suddenly having double the amount of work is keeping me super busy at the moment.
That's a great introduction just to your daily life right here and now. So let's just take a step back and tell us who you are, what has been your journey to this point.
Yes. As said, my name is Christoffer, and for the formal introduction, CEO and founder of Contribe. I have a classical business background. Started out quite early doing small businesses, actually doing ecom way back when I was like 16 years old. Did all sorts of not very successful projects, but super learning. And then on the more professional side, I started out in business. Actually started out in sales, which is a great way to kick off your career in my opinion. And then I was swept into the whole world of management consulting, strategy consulting, and actually was there for like 4 years. So had an idea that was my journey, staying there, becoming a partner, and with everything that takes. But among other things, I got super tired of that life and not really moving the needle on anything. So I just missed getting out there and really move and change something. And that sent me back into the world of tech startups, where I had a short stint as a CEO of another company, and then we founded Contribe to trying bridging doing good with actually earning money. That crazy gap, but I'm solving that right now.
Let's hear more about the story of Contribe then. I'd like to know and let the listeners, know exactly what is it you do, and let's get super practical about what it actually is.
Definitely. Well, so as I said, I was the CEO of another tech startup. We're doing great. We did a full turnaround. Everything was going well, but I still missed like meaning and change, and wanted to be like, how can I put a positive impact on the world with my work? So I in the late summer of 22, I met my two co-founders, Tobias and Lasse, and they were actually already brewing on an idea in the impact space. Not what we are today, but brewing on what eventually became Contribe. And the whole idea, everything we do, stems from the fact that the world is changing quite a lot. We have a lot of consumers, especially the younger ones from Gen Z specifically, who are having a totally different way of seeing the world, totally different preferences. It's way more on personalization, social aspects, and maybe most importantly, purpose/impact. So what we've built is basically a plugin that's if you're an e-commerce store, it's on your product page, it's in your cart, it's maybe at checkout. We can put it in different places. But when you go and buy something, then as part of your purchase, there's included a good cause. Could be everything from mental health, supporting mental health among young people. It can be environmental. It can be anything in between that, but chosen with the company. So you go in, and then there's like support mental health, support planting trees, support collecting plastic from the oceans. Totally free from you as a consumer. It's just
and why is that important? I mean, I've heard you say this before, that you're not just sort of pressing a button or saying, okay, I want to donate an extra 5% on my purchase. This is all on the merchant side. Why is that important?
It's super important, and it's something, even though super big brands ask us to build the solution that you just talked about, where you can donate with your own money. The reason why is that we believe that it's the company's responsibility they are the ones producing, they're the ones selling stuff that might not have a positive impact on the world. They are the ones that are responsible. It's not you as an end consumer who needs to lift the full burden. It's the companies who earns a lot of money, who have the power to do something and go forward with it.
Yeah.
And that's just like a total value of Contribe that we'll never shy away from.
Right.
So that's why. And then then you click, you get something extra, you get a good feeling, you're part of a community, you're part of something bigger. And when you then finish the purchase, you can also follow along with what happened, when was my donation actually made. Here's a picture of happy children who got some of the aid that you gave them, and so on. So it's a whole nother way of building in loyalty.
Right. And so just to be clear, your customers are the merchants?
Our customers is the merchants.
Yes. All right. And how many do you have roughly now?
Roughly 300 in 12 countries around the globe.
Maybe just talk to me a little bit about what kinds of businesses they are, at what stage of their growth are they at? Why do they accept the meeting with you guys?
Yeah, good question. I would say that most of our customers right now is in like the mid range, so not super small, newly founded companies, nor huge enterprises who are having too many complexities to work with us. So it's like mid-sized, from 1.5 million euros in revenue up to 20-30 million euros in revenue, something in that range. And I think that a lot of, which is super positive, a lot of these companies, they actually want to do something. They do want to do good. They do know that the purpose-driven consumer is coming, and they're coming fast. But they are also buying into the fact that what we do in Contribe is actually good for your business. So when you're using Contribe as a merchant, we see that on average right now, you lift your revenue with 20%, which is a crazy amount for doing something good. So we are affecting conversions and retention rates and basically everything that you as a e-commerce store wants to improve. And
yeah, you also write that you're about loyalty, essentially.
Totally.
So how do you see those shoppers coming back because of Contribe's contribution to the shopping experience?
Yeah, I think when you use Contribe as a consumer, which is what we call the users, is that you actually get a good feeling that you normally don't get. Like it's totally psychological. It's a good feeling to do good. That's just like totally incorporated in the human brain. And when we get good feelings, we want to get those good feelings again. That's also totally natural. So what we see is that when users try Contribe on a merchant e-commerce store, they and which of course we build it into the flow. So you can follow, as I said. You maybe get a follow-up email saying thanks for your purchase. You're also part of, you did this and that with Contribe. We can see that they come back 30% faster than the normal users. So what we put it back to is basically that it's not just a purchase, it's something bigger. And that feeling, you want to get that again and again and again.
You briefly mentioned the part about or the argument around the sort of generational divide there might be sort of in this, and that might be playing a role here. And I when I was researching for this interview, I was thinking about that because I don't think I have quite as strong feelings about it myself personally. I'm from 1977. And when I speak to my kids, for example, two of them are grown-ups now, they talk about it in a different way. I hear you talking about it in a different way. There seems to be something that's super important for people over 50, maybe, that they need to understand about the value proposition that you offer, the kinds of consumers that you appeal to. And I'm sure that you must be having this discussion with prospects all the time, that they need to understand and sort of get beyond their traditional thinking about it. Talk to me more about that.
Definitely. I mean, what we see a lot of natural skepticism, and I understand that. A lot of executives and founders are in the older generations. It's not many Gen Z people who are running businesses yet, and there really is a cliff right now that I think is probably the biggest ever. Literally the biggest ever, because we're seeing a generation who's born on the internet, who are having a totally different value set. It's not the whole classical way of like we are value-driven consumers. We go to work to provide a family, buy a home, and so on. A lot of those things are just out of reach firsthand. And also because all the stuff that's happening in the geopolitical environment, people are just way more conscious, way more scared about the environment, mental health issues, and so on. So I mean, we're proving that every day, but whenever we talk to prospects, it almost always come up. And what I'm normally saying is just like, try it out, do a free trial. I don't care. This is gonna work. I know you're not the main target persona for this, but a lot of your consumers will be. You're probably using a lot of software, a lot of stuff that you're doing that won't work on yourself either. That's normally how it is, and Contribe is no different. So we're fighting that over and over. Also, people that are like basically don't believe our results because they're so great. That's also one of our biggest challenges. So I think that what we're doing right now is basically just we're on a long journey of getting people to try it, basically.
Yeah, let's try to get into the minds of the shopper that is pressing the buttons. I'm sure you talk to some of them, and
we do
interviews with the sort of the shoppers in the end that will be going through that experience of pressing the button and feeling something and having some sort of psychological reaction to using your features on an online shop. What are they saying? What is it that they say, they feel and experience?
They say that they get this great feeling. I mean, doing a purchase, I heard this once, doing a purchase is one of the largest burdens of people, psychological. Like, purchasing stuff is actually a burden. You want to receive the if you buy a t-shirt, you're happy for the t-shirt, but making the actual purchase, spending money, people don't like that. People do like getting something extra, and they do like being good towards other people. And we've done a lot of testing with our end users, the consumers. What they're saying is that like, I get more attached to the brand. I get a good feeling whenever I shop. I've never seen anyone involve me like this and really asking. Normally it's just like, okay, so the CEO chose a project close to his or her heart, but suddenly I'm part of it. I feel involved. I feel asked about what I want as a consumer, and even that feeling is not really happening anywhere. I mean, I think we're one of the only software where you actually involve the customers in a choice. That's not even normal. So we can just see that they're just saying it. What we want to hear, they're saying them themselves. They're like, if a shop uses this, I would buy more. I would come back more often. I would be more attached to the brand. That's like what we just keep hearing. And we also see it. We see it in Trustpilot reviews. We see it from our merchants that when they send this out in newsletters, people are writing back like, this is the greatest initiative ever. So people are just feeling like a really great sense of being able to do something good, which they just love, and it makes them more loyal to the brand.
Right. I think it's clear what it is Contribe is about. I understand the pitch. Let's try to go back and sort of talk more about what you say around purpose and the sort of the larger story, and what's driving your own motivation to run this company. And again, I hear you talk a lot about that word purpose. So I'd love to hear more about what that actually means to you.
Yeah. I mean, a great question. I think it kind of comes back, and I think I'm still relatively young. And
how old are you?
29. Right. 29. So still relatively young. And I think that my own journey started with like kind of I want to earn money, I want to be a big entrepreneur and sort of that stuff. And then the older I've become, the more I'm thinking like, I think it's back to also the consulting days where it's just like you're moving the needle so little so that some people, whether it's the executives or it's the company or it's shareholders, can earn a little bit more money. That's not creating any meaning for me. I mean, it's I love building something. I love seeing it thrive and growth and all that. But just like moving the needle a little bit to make a few people a bit richer, that's not very, I mean, that's giving me no sense of purpose at all. And I think what I wanted with my life and career and everything is like when I'm old and done working, I want to look back and be like, I made the world a better place for some people. Quite simple. And that can be done, as you know, in a million ways, but I made some people's lives better one way or another. And I don't think, as I said, moving the needle, people earning a little bit more money is probably not making their lives any better. So I was just, 4 years ago, I was just getting quite aware that I wanted to do this. I wanted to create a company that left a positive impact on the world, and where there's purpose, where I can say that we are building something that are creating jobs, that are earning money. Also, we have investors and we have stakeholders like all other companies, but there will also be people that are getting a better life because of Contribe, and that's happening right now. Actually, we are generating millions of euros to initiatives that wouldn't have received anything if it wasn't for what we're doing. So I think that's quite in line with Gen Z and what is happening with the younger generation, is that the classical like get a high salary, high job security, people really don't care about that anymore. They don't care about that anymore. That is not what gets you up and in the morning.
So when you pitch, I'm sort of imagining that is a part of the pitch to a prospect, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. So you're telling the story, or sort of that whole wonderful mission of let's get to something that is truly meaningful and in our business lives as well as our sort of our lives holistically. Do those older generations then feel that, okay, I apparently have to sort of go through that extra step of also adding purpose, or do they actually embrace it and say, okay, yeah, I'm with you. We need to do both? Or what's the reaction from the customers when you pitch them?
It's actually quite different, I would say. We have the no-sayers, non-believers, who are like, this is simply stupid and I don't believe it, and I don't understand why anyone in the whole wide world would think this was a great idea, nor at all believe that it would improve anything for my business. And then we have obviously the ones that are the great customers who jumps on the on the wagon right away, but we have a lot of people who's like slowly being convinced about the idea, and as we talked about before, getting into the belief that it might not be for me, but it might be for someone else. I think that's where we are the most right now. It's people saying, okay, I can see that some people would enjoy this. I do know that there's a lot of pressure on companies right now for doing, with whole ESG and stuff. There's more pressure on social and environmental impact than ever before. So there's a lot of companies saying like, yeah, we do know that we need to do something, and this might also be a great way of doing it. That's easy for us. We don't have to change our food production or run a huge project on this and involve a lot of people. Contribe is quite straightforward. It's a great start. I think we have a lot who is moving towards that, and also customers who said no a year ago, who's coming back now and saying, okay, let's give it a try. Let's see what's the buzz about, because they can also see that maybe their peers or their competitors are using Contribe suddenly. So there's also, there's a lot of like lemming effects in e-com and in brands. There's a lot of people being like, if my competitor is using this, I need to look at it. So we have like this self-enforcing virality in our product.
Yeah, there's something that really fascinates me about it, because in e-commerce, we've sort of spent the last, frankly, 2 decades on optimizing the shopping experience online and just removing all friction we could find. Sort of making it as fast as and efficient as possible to get to that checkout button and go through the payment gateway. And now suddenly you're introducing an extra step to that user experience process. But what I'm hearing is that you were saying that the psychological effects it has on people basically sort of trumps that slight friction that you are introducing to the checkout process.
Totally.
How do customers or sort of e-commerce managers react to that fact that they need to introduce an extra step to something that they've tried to optimize the hell out of for years and years?
It's quite funny, because I would say, what's really important to say about Contribe is that we still try to make it as frictionless as possible. Contribe is always optional, so you're never forced to use Contribe. It's like, if you want to, you can press the button, you can donate for free, but you can also just run through and purchase whatever you want to do. We do have a lot of e-commerce managers who comes from as you say, the 20 years of making everything totally easy, totally frictionless. You should basically just look at the item and then the purchase is made. I don't really believe it, to be honest. I think the world is changing here as well. If you look at the most forward-thinking, let's say American brands, they have someone that are like really front runners on new ideas. They are actually starting to have really complex setups. So a lot of choices, totally crowded product pages, totally crowded carts and checkouts with a lot of choices, where you're saying that the whole idea of it being super straightforward, super easy, is basically outdated. People want more. People want an experience, and what we can win in terms of upsales and conversion optimizations and so on, with giving some opportunities, giving something free here, having upsell plugins, all that stuff, is basically better for us than having that totally neat buying process. So I'm on the team that like this is the way, but I'm fighting a lot of e-commerce managers on that.
Yeah,
a lot of them.
I can totally imagine that. I think many of them see the ideal the ideal experience of an Apple Pay, for example, or Klarna, where it just so incredibly smooth and frictionless. And now suddenly you want to introduce something else. You also could consider as a shopper. One thing I'm super interested in is that you're on your website, you're communicating to shoppers as well,
Yeah.
which was a little bit of a surprise to me. Maybe that's again because I'm slightly older.
Yeah.
I would have sort of imagined that this would just be a pure B2B play, no communication to the shoppers in the end. Why do you do that?
I would say first off, you mentioned Klarna yourself. We are a B2B play, but we can't defy the fact that the users of Contribe is consumers. So I would call ourselves, no matter what, a B2B2C play. And we want people to recognize us. So when they are at the checkout page or in the cart or whatever, we want people to like recognize the Contribe name, the Contribe logo, just as they recognize Klarna and Apple Pay and Trustpilot or whatever that might be present there. So that's the first. And the second thought about it is that our idea from the beginning, and which we're building a lot towards right now, is basically building a full cycle ecosystem with Contribe. So we want to build towards the end user as well. I mean, we have a vision and a dream that in the future, Contribe will basically be its own kind of marketplace buying solution where you can, no matter where you're purchasing, you can have a free good cause included and you can follow along, you can get rewards, it can be social, basically a whole new way that will, I mean, compete with all the ways that businesses are doing customer acquisition right now. And I think with everything that's also happening in the world right now and with the new generation, this is what's needed for e-commerce.
So as a merchant, you would sign up to be part of your universe, and then you would be present on your sort of marketplace experience, and then you would be present in the shopping experience, controlled directly by the merchant.
Yes, right. Exactly. So you use both part of it, and then what Contribe is today will be the premium solution if you really want to have the full experience and really want to get the extra performance metrics and the extra brand value. But basically it is that Contribe has the opportunity, with what we have seen from our 3 million consumers already, Contribe has the opportunity to become a new customer acquisition channel. And when you have that opportunity, you just need to follow that, because that's something that the merchants want to pay a lot for, and it's really a big opportunity. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Can you maybe tell me about more particular examples? Like, what are brands that are really getting it right, where you felt, okay, they totally understood the value that they can bring to their shoppers? What did they do differently? How did they think about it in a different way? How did they sort of organize or orchestrate the shopping experience in a better way?
Yeah, I think the important stuff, if Contribe should really give you value, you need to totally incorporate it into your brand. We do have, out of, as I said, our 300 customers, we do have some who is using it like really only as the plugin that we just talked about. So it's at no way part of your processes or email flows or marketing campaigns or anything. It's just a plugin, which is fine. It will work. It will still be a great experience and everything. But the ones where we have really seen great results is the ones that are saying like, now this will be a totally integral part of our business. So we'll create sub pages where we talk about Contribe, we talk about why we do what we do, we talk about the different courses that we're supporting. We're having it as part of our marketing campaigns. We're maybe even using it in ads and stuff. And we're also using it in our whole like newsletter and mail campaigns. Some of the companies has like, we had a case the other day, Danish like outdoor shop, who just like, we met them, actually we reached out to them, and they just loved the idea of Contribe, and then they're just like, we're going full on this. we'll build this totally into the hearts. We love the idea. We love that we are able with our business to do something good. So they just build it totally into every part of the company and just live like Patagonia is a great example who basically created the idea of donating through your brand. They're doing the same here. They're like, this will just be part of it. This will just, whenever you shop at us, you just know that this is part of the experience. And the ones that are doing that are seeing crazy results. They're really seeing something. They're really using it as an advantage, as a part of their community, and I think that's where it gets kind of magical. Yeah,
I think I can easily appreciate how you're fascinated in love with your own product and the business that you now run successfully. That's great. But I want to hear your thoughts on. So is this part of a bigger movement? Basically, are there other companies that are doing similar stuff that you follow? How do you fit in a larger movement? We talked about the generational differences that you're seeing, but what else is happening that you essentially tap into?
I mean, a lot of stuff is happening. First off, if we just quickly go over the generational thing again, like we do have Gen Z, which are 2.5 billion consumers. It's the biggest generation ever. In 5 years, they'll have the most spending power of all generations. It's like really a power of a consumer group who's joining the markets. Other than that, if we go beyond just the generations, I mean, if you look at like, let's say IBM, the tech company, are doing a report every second year on consumer behavior, which is quite big and elaborated. And already 2 years ago, they said that the purpose-driven consumer was now the biggest group. And I think right now it's like 50% in the latest report from 24. So what is happening is that we went from like, I buy stuff because I need it. I buy which is the last 20 years, is I buy stuff out of value to me. Like I like the product, but it also has a certain value. It has a certain maybe status or identity or whatever. To now that out of all consumers worldwide, no matter age, no matter geography, whatever, it's now purpose. So I buy out of this aligning with my own purpose. It aligns with my own values. Of course, the product needs to work. Of course, the product needs to be something that you desire. But it's basically what IBM is saying is that the purpose-driven consumer is the largest group right now. And there is a lot of consumers who is saying, I mean, plus 80% who is saying like, I would never buy from a brand who do this or this, who doesn't act on social issues or who are using child labor or whatever it might be. And I think for many that would be like, yeah, that's obvious, but it isn't, because 10 years ago this was not at all the fact. And I think the percentage on this will just be higher and higher and higher in the coming 20 years that we look forward to.
I think I want to turn the discussion towards yourself again and your learnings, what you sort of unearthed through that process of building this. And I mean, I understand that you have so many thoughts about how you can, in fact, align your own purpose to the purpose of shoppers and the purpose of the merchants that are buying the tech. Yeah. But sort of on a deeper level, if you could sort of share some of your reflections around what's the journey been for you? What did you learn through all of this?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a wild journey. First off, with pivots and I mean a lot of stuff has already happened in our relatively short lifespan of Contribe, but I think what changed a lot, especially on the merchant side, was that when we started Contribe, we had like a hypothesis that a lot of the brands would want to do this out of like basically just wanted to do good stuff and wanted to create impact. So we had an idea that like, of course not everyone, but there would be a lot of brands who would be, we don't care about anything else, that we want to make the world a better place. And that was not the case when we started talking to brands. I mean, I've sit with like the greenest, most environmental friendly, most impact driven brands who are speaking so loudly in all commercials on LinkedIn about how they just want to do good. And then the founder or whatever, not to talk bad about anyone, but like then when I talk to them, they're like, we only do this if we can earn money from it. So we thought, we figured out quite soon that basically no one does anything in business out of a good heart. And that was actually quite.
That was a surprise to you.
That was a bit of a surprise because we thought that we did know that 90% of our customers wouldn't think like that, but we did think that there were like some of the brands, they are in all markets. I think a lot of people when they hear this would have some brands that they think about, that where you would think that this is such a big part of the brand that they do it because they really care about it. And they might do. It's not to say that they don't care about it, but they are doing it with business in mind. And that was quite a surprise, I would say. So we figured out that even the best ones, they wanted to earn money. And that just meant that we need to change and focus way more on like why consumers want this, how it's improving your performance metrics, all that. That is the main part of our communications towards merchants right now. So it's like you can you can increase your performance, you can earn more money, you can do all this great stuff, attract new consumers, plus you're making the world a better place. But it's not you're making the world a better place and then plus you are earning more money. It's the other way around. So it's like we're always able to get meetings and talk to people because what we do is good. But the selling point at the end of the day, that is attracting customers, it's brand value, it's all the classical stuff that you would look at as a marketeer.
Yeah,
basically. So that was super surprising for us to figure that out. But I'm rather glad that we did so.
Yeah. What about all of the greenwashing discussions and sort of the selection of what NGOs to curate from, and that you allow the shoppers to support? There's got to be a lot of vetting going on there, and in so many cases in the last many years where this kind of either philanthropy or NGO work has been taking place. We've seen so many cases of NGOs not being able to live up to their promises, for example. So I'm sure that must be a concern to your customers as well.
It's definitely a concern, and it's definitely something that we hear almost with all our customers. But I would say when we started Contribe, we were like scared. Literally scared of it. We were so scared that like, we're gonna fund a terror organization, or we'll get in a big shitstorm and then our company will close down. I mean, we're really scared about that. And one of my co-founders, he's run his own NGO. He's a lawyer, and him and his team built a quite great process for how we onboard and vet NGOs, basically. So we have like 12-step process that we run through on all NGOs to ensure that everything that we have on the platform is working. And then we're using a lot of when we get new customers and they do have partnerships with NGOs, we also use that to feed into our supply. So basically, nothing has ever happened, nothing on the table, but like basically nothing has happened yet. And because we're getting so good at the vetting process, we're seeing also less and less questions from our customers. But with that being said, it has been a big worry for a long time.
So do you have a plan for like crisis communication when it does go wrong at some point, which it must inevitably do, because that's been the story of NGO support work, for decades, if not longer.
Yeah, I think. I mean, how we look at it in Contribe is that first off, we're a software company. We're not our own NGO. We're not, and it's not to like put away responsibility, but we're a software company. We provide a software, and we do vet stuff as well, but we shouldn't put too much on our shoulders on like saying that everything is totally great. There's also a responsibility with the brand. With that being said, we do have a process for what to do and how to do it. And it's also quite important to say that we have like a 90-day span from we get the money up until the latest that we have to pay the NGOs. So we are able to like, if something bad happens, we do have the opportunity to like say, we don't give the money to this NGO because we can see something wrong is going on, and then direct it to another project. So we're quite precautious with what we do. And another thing on the whole greenwashing stuff that we also, like a core value of Contribe is saying that using Contribe doesn't make you sustainable or anything. We actually had like a metaphor for like when we enter our office, we don't use the word sustainability. We have nothing. Right. We have nothing to do with sustainability. We are directing money towards good causes. We're doing good stuff. We're making your consumers happy, but you should never be able to like use Contribe as a means to saying, oh, we're so sustainable and everything is good, and now our production is also good. Like, if you produce bad stuff in China, we have nothing to do about it. You can still use Contribe, but we always encourage you to do better on that. Yeah, so we try to like go away from all the claims and all that stuff, because that would put us directly in the fire of shitstorms and greenwashing claims and all that.
I can definitely picture that. If we leave that topic sort of behind and think about what entirely other sort of trends you see in tech and e-commerce and marketing, I'm keen to get your sort of thoughts on what's happening outside of the core business that you're sort of working on right now, but that you still feel is interesting for e-commerce businesses.
Definitely. I mean, I'm of that opinion that a lot of the giants from the last 20 years are starting to lack a lot, again with the whole generational thing and how the world is changing. So not to bash anyone, but like Trustpilot as a thing, who's been a big glorious company here in Denmark specifically, I've never used that. I would never use it, and I believe that all my peers wouldn't either. Like that's not how you look at you ask your friends and you look on social proof and from influencers and all that, but you're not scared of getting cheated on the internet, which is what Trustpilot was built on, for instance. So I think that the whole like convenience, trust, discount, we're shying way more away from that. And then what I think is super, super interesting is the whole social way of shopping. I think that will be, and we also try to build that into Contribe, but I think that would be, that's the future. Like you shop with your friends, it's way more like a social network the way you shop, and you're looking into peers and influencers and that whole way of doing it, because everyone is so attached and they're so attached with me and all that. And I think that would really change the way you're doing it. I mean, every year I go to Italy, and go to a kind of it's called a mall, which is a like very luxurious outlet. And when I'm there, there's always people from, especially Asia, who are traveling to there, who are standing with a screen and recording live shopping sessions directly from there to different people. And we haven't seen that in Europe yet in that sense, but I think that will come. I think.
So would you also integrate, for example, to live shopping, or could you sort of imagine your customers sort of promoting the fact that you're giving to a good cause while you're live shopping, for example?
Definitely. Live shopping through SoMe influencers who will, influencers who are collecting their community and saying, hey, we can donate together with Contribe, use my unique link and all that. I think the shopping experience will be, it will just be way different. I don't think that it will only be you go to a website and then you purchase something online. I think it will be on all sorts of different channels. You'll shop directly from stuff you see on Instagram. I think that whole world is super, super, super interesting, and I think that that is basically how the future will be in the way we shop. So totally different.
I think there's if you think back like 10 years ago, there was a lot of hype around the sort of the blend of storytelling or content and the products you would buy on an online store. And I know that many in the industry felt that it never truly happened. But I'm still super interested in hearing your side to that, or your interpretation of what's going to happen with that whole mix of storytelling. You're talking about social and shopping, sort of marrying the two, and the psychological effects that might have of alignment between purpose and buying stuff you need or value, as you said. But what about storytelling in general as a larger topic? Is that still a thing with the merchants that you encounter, or has it really just become more about how do we sort of create great shopping experiences again?
I still think, I always think storytelling is, I mean, I'm a big fan of storytelling in all sorts, also in running our own business. So I think it's still important to do storytelling, but I don't think you're able to put a story down on the consumer as much as you were 10 years ago. I don't think you're able to like force people. It needs to be, authenticity is important in a whole nother way now. I also don't think that, like, I think we'll keep having big, beautiful billboards with models and famous people. But I think like the authentic, I see some brands and some of our customers where, like, when you see the product pictures, when you see their ads, when you see their big campaigns, it's normal people. It looks like your friends, like, okay, I can relate to that. I can relate to David Beckham in underwear in a big billboard, as I saw the other day. Like, that's non-relatable. You need it to be like authentic and relatable, and then do the storytelling out of that. And I think that again, a lot of the big brands today who are still running kind of the old scheme, they should adapt to that sense, like making it more relatable for everyday life. People want to see that and see that authentic storytelling.
Yeah, it feels to me like there's just no way around also talking about AI, of course, and as part of this
obviously
discussion, you both have the avatars that are certainly not very real, but that are sometimes part of the shopping experience or the promotion of products that has really started to happen now. What's your take on that? You're talking about the need for us to sort of, as brands, to sort of create very authentic experiences, and sort of using AI avatars, for example, is certainly not what I would consider very authentic, but there's a lot of hype around it. How do you see that whole space now?
I mean, I would say that AI will make stuff possible. I mean, with avatars and stuff that can be so authentic that it looks totally real. So it will be, there will still be some AI, but I think that there will maybe also be a reaction to the whole AI trend, where people even more so want like real stuff, real people, real engagement. And I think my opinion on AI, which is definitely something to stay, and probably the biggest invention, so to speak, in our generation. I think it will run more in the background. I think it will be more a means of being more efficient in your marketing copy and optimizing your own website, in maybe being able to also produce content, but it won't be those ChatGPT futuristic looking pictures. It will be solutions where you're able to like take a picture of you and I, and then easier put it in a real setting, but it needs to look real. I don't believe that those fake looking pictures will be anything. Yeah.
I'd like to really ask you if there's just one thing that you should remember from this conversation. What do you think that needs to be?
I think, I mean, my advice is and thing to remember is probably not to underestimate when new stuff is happening and when new generations are coming. I thought about doing the full cliche of like Netflix blockbuster kind of it, and I know that's a bit far-fetched, but like I think that a lot of big brands are underestimating what's happening and how fast it will go with a new generation and a new way of doing stuff. And I know a lot of company and a lot of brands and merchants right now are having a difficult time. I do know that some of the brands that are super Gen Z friendly and are doing that authentic content, we have some here in Copenhagen. I saw one of their financial statements or annual reports, and they don't have issues. Let me say it like that. So I think like invest in that future, even though it might not be tomorrow, but like prepare for it, because if you do it like total panic, closing time, you've already lost to the new wave. So not to create crisis and all stuff, but the world will look totally different only 5 years from now, and I think brands need to grasp that.
I think that's a great message to sort of wrap this discussion up. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you about this. I've definitely had the experience myself as a 48-year-old or 47, soon 48, that, there is actually something that I may not be completely familiar with, and that sounds just slightly sort of out of tune with how I grew up and what I learned. And it sounds like I mean, if we could bridge that generational gap through sort of technologies and sort of that whole idea that you come with, I'd say that's pretty wonderful. So can people connect with you on LinkedIn or find you somewhere else?
Definitely, I would say LinkedIn is my main business thing right now. So people I'm always ready to have a talk. Also, just I mean, if I can inspire or at least talk about what we are seeing and why we think that this is the future, I'm always happy to talk to people about that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Christoffer.
Thanks for having me.